Welcome to another week of Brew Skies Booze News. I am Mike Morgan. I typically do this show with a guy named Brett Coleman Baker, but he is currently in Vietnam fighting for your freedom. Or alternatively, he's there at a brewer's conference where he's getting shit-faced drunk on the reg on some form of rice liquor and building up a hangover that he's going to blame on malaria. Which all begs the question, who the fuck are you?
That's a good question. It depends who you ask. I'm the gnarly gnome. I like to talk about drinking, which works. It works. Definitely not Brett, though. I'm trying to channel him as much as possible.
Yeah, you do a podcast, which is...
With a tiny glass.
Yeah.
You guys never address why he drinks out of such a tiny glass.
I have
It's a schooner,
thing.
not a fishbowl. It's a schooner. I will die on that hill.
What's the difference?
I don't know. More fun of a name.
I went to... In Athens, they're fish bowls. This one actually came from Ironton, but nevertheless. So what's happening this week?
Oh, geez. There's a lot of things happening. I was out in Indiana last week, and so first thing I stumbled across was a news story from Indianapolis. Mm-hmm. There was a monkey running amok in Indianapolis.
That doesn't shock me.
Not just any monkey, a beer-drinking monkey. He got a hold of, I guess, beer in somebody's garbage can. Why are there full beers in people's garbage can? I don't know, but
it's Indianapolis.
Got a hold of some beer and then took off just running crazy through the neighborhood. His name was Momo.
Yeah. So drunk as a monkey.
Drunk as a monkey.
He is. He's feeding the stereotype.
He did, and at one point, the police obviously had to come. They had to. I guess this is how you notify people now that these things are happening. You go to X, which is what we're supposed to call Twitter these days, and you tell people there's a beer drinking monkey on the loose. Stay inside, I guess. At one point, this nice little lady was in her garage, and he cornered her. And she had to fend him off with a stool that was in the garage.
Yeah.
They got him. They got him, though.
I think it's mostly chimps, but I mean, they'll eat your face off.
I didn't specify what, I guess, are chimps. Chimps are not monkeys. They're apes.
Yes.
It said monkey in the article, so I don't know. It could have been a chimp.
I don't know. I'm not, I don't even know what the word is for whoever knows what animals are.
Monkeyologist.
I'm not one of those. Or apologist or primatologist or...
That's actually probably right.
Mammalian, whatever. But some of them I know are mean. Chimps will eat your face off.
I firmly believe that any kind of primate is kind of... nasty deep down inside somewhere, and you probably shouldn't mess with them.
Right. You probably shouldn't get them drunk. I mean, Brett and I are still available to get drunk with monkeys for the right level of sponsorship. We made that offer a while back. But, I'm gonna pack heat.
You guys only have one level of sponsorship on Patreon. Where is the Drinking with Monkeys level?
We do need to add that. We're gonna kick it up. I think it's like $15,000 though. Because
they did apprehend the monkey and took him to some kind of animal control place. They weren't sure if they were going to give him back to his owner because this is not the first time he's gotten out and run crazy down the street. So that says something.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't have a monkey, but.
Big news. I did also stumble across another interesting article. This one is out of London. They started doing some kind of studies on this prison because somebody escaped and then they decided they needed to study the prison or something. I don't know.
Sure.
And they discovered...
Well, they're not supposed to work that way.
They're not. So in theory, they're not supposed to work that way. They discovered that the prisoners had been making hooch, prison wine.
It happens.
But a lot of prison wine. Like a whole lot of it.
Well, they don't have much else to do with their time.
They discovered something like 2,000 liters, I think it said. I don't know how much a liter is, but it's a sizable amount. And 2,000 of them is 2,000 sizable amounts of prison hooch.
Good God.
They decided they need to reform the prison system because there's too much hooch happening.
Well, American prisons are full of heroin and fentanyl, so relatively speaking.
Do you think there's more heroin and fentanyl in American prisons or prison hooch?
Heroin and fentanyl, because it's much harder to smuggle a liter in your prison wallet.
Oh, here's the thing. This is prison wine that they're making while they're there. You don't have to smuggle it in.
Right.
You got a manufacturing center happening.
Sure.
The guy that they interviewed for this that had recently come out of this prison that said, we made hooch all the time. His 3 ingredients that he liked to use. Do you want to guess what they were?
Well, God, I don't know. How do you make prison hooch? Because cheaply, you just take grain, sugar, and apple juice, but you're not going to get copious amounts of apple juice in prison. Mm-hmm. You need something that has fermentable. You need a base, and you need something to ferment with. I would say processed sugar is going to be one of it. You're going to be able to get that from the whatever the hell they call the kitchen, but a fruit base, maybe apple juice.
Apple juice would have been my guess, but no, they way more prison. They've got Mountain Dew, orange juice, delicious. And gummy bears. All readily available at the prison commissary, which I guess is a thing. You can go buy things.
Here's the thing.
You were supposed to just be punished.
I think that sounds disgusting. I also think that if you started making that as a commercial product in America today, you'd sell the shit out of it.
I think they are. I think I would try this.
It would taste better than that Eggo shit we drank last week.
Which, by the way, you offered me when I came in. That was very, very nice of you.
Yeah, we offered to give it to anybody, quite frankly.
I'd quicker try Mountain Dew hooch, personally.
This is only funny in the darkest sense, but I did hear this week that, there are these 4 really dangerous, at least accused, vicious murderers that escaped from some prison, I believe in Alabama. Mm-hmm. And I heard this clip of the sheriff who's in charge of the prison, the sheriff or the warden, interviewed, and the guy's just the jail's a shithole. It's falling apart. Sometimes it's just easy to escape from.
That's in this article. They kind of said that, we're failing our prisoners by providing this. And I'm like, no, you're not.
Yeah,
This is what the prisoners want. They want hooch.
Yes, it's prison.
You're failing the rest of us.
Right.
I mean, not me. I'm not in London. I don't care. The prisoners can do whatever they want. That's fine. You want to drink Mountain Dew hooch and gummy bear hooch? Knock yourself out.
It's entrepreneurial. It's better than beating and raping each other.
Yeah, I guess it is. Well,
there's a limited scope of activity that you can do in prison.
Yeah, entrepreneurial in the sense that they're just trading it for cigarettes or something else. Speaking of entrepreneurial hooch,
bartering, prison sex,
Tesla.
Yeah, good segue.
Tesla has released their own beer. Tesla beer. It's called Cyber Beer. It's supposed to be kind of to celebrate the Cybertruck that's never going to come out.
Why? Well, I know why, because Elon Musk is a fucking asshole whose ego knows no bounds. But what makes the beer different? Is there some sort of ecological...
Beer. No, it's cyber.
So it's just non-existent beer?
No, it's supposedly existing. It's in these crazy, goofy shaped bottles. How much do you think 2 bottles comes with two mugs? But how much do you think they cost?
Well, it's Tesla, so I'm going to say $55.
It is $150, and it's sold out already. It also sounded good. It's like some kind of Helles lager with German hops. It sounded pretty tasty to me, but not only can you not get it anymore because it's sold out, everybody that bought it's probably going to stuff it on a shelf somewhere, and nobody's ever going to drink it.
The rich and sense.
I guess. How do you feel about RTDs?
I think they're fucking disgusting.
Mm-hmm. I can't understand why they are growing as much as they are, but they are.
They're growing a lot.
They are growing a lot. And Coca-Cola is teaming up with Pernod Ricard. I don't know how you pronounce the name of the company. The people that make Absolute.
Yeah.
And they are going to make Sprite and vodka in a can. And I, for the life of me, can't understand why this product needs to exist.
The product absolutely does not need to exist. That's the other thing about RTDs. First of all, they're not good. You can always make whatever it is. I mean, this pre-mixed cocktail, for the most part, most cocktails are pretty easy to make.
Sure.
And, you know, the process of making the cocktail, when there's multiple ingredients to it, that's part of the fun of drinking a cocktail, is mixing it, making it. But if you're just going to drink vodka and Sprite, and you're too lazy and or stupid to mix vodka and Sprite, you shouldn't be drinking, man.
I just
Give it up.
I can't understand why people need to have these products. And some of the, like, if it's a complicated cocktail or complicated-ish, or requires more than like 3 ingredients or something, okay, put it in a can,
sure.
and then I don't have to make it sometimes. But when you're talking these 2 ingredients, they're not even cocktails.
No.
It's just a mixed
It's
drink.
just a thing with a liquor in it.
I can't understand. But they are making it in both Sprite and Sprite Zero varieties, so you can drink healthy while you drink your Sprite and vodka. I can't understand it.
Yeah.
I was hoping you could shed some light on it. You clearly don't know either.
Well, I mean, vodka and soda is very popular because it's 0 carbs. So I get the 0 Sprite vodka thing. There's a market for that. Okay. It's a popular drink in bars. But why you can't mix those 2 things together, I don't comprehend.
Well, in theory, if I take my own, even if it's Sprite Zero, take my own Sprite Zero, my own vodka, and just go real heavy on the vodka in my glass, it's better for me. It'd be even healthier. So why are these? I
don't know about healthier, but it's going to be stronger and it's going to be cheaper, actually.
I'm a doctor-ish. It's healthier.
Yeah.
The company, this Pernod Ricard, they just bought some kind of RTD company called Cocorico.
Sure.
Okay.
That's how I'm going to say it.
Yeah. He just dumped some $22 million into redoing canning lines and all this just to start cranking out more RTD canned things. And I can't.
Can you imagine like the investor pitch with Cocorito?
You know how, like, if you're a Taylor Swift fan, you're a Swiftie?
Yeah.
Is there a name for people that are fans of Cocorico?
Oh, yeah.
I need a t-shirt. Going from, you told me to find booze news. Does this count if I'm talking about non-alcoholic beer?
Sure.
Where is the line for all of this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's part of the adult beverage industry.
Or
sort of.
I don't know. So it is growing astronomically in the United States. It is just where this year it has grown 32%, which is outpacing actual booze. Over the last 4 years, it's averaged out to 31%.
That is astronomical growth.
It's big stuff, especially when everything else is kind of not really growing a whole lot.
During Prohibition, you saw, I mean, obviously, a bunch of people tried to make near beer.
It made sense.
And I mean, you didn't have any other option other than commit crimes, which a lot of breweries did. But I forget what the stats are, but I think that you went from something like in 1920, they sold somewhere around about 9 million barrels of near beer nationally. And by around 1930, close to the end of Prohibition, it was down to something like 2 million. So there was this just steady, consistent decline because near beer sucked. So even when you couldn't buy beer, people still weren't buying near beer.
Right.
So that is an astounding amount of growth.
It's nothing compared to what's happening in Europe, though. So right now, non-alcoholic beer makes up 0.9% of the United States beer market.
Yeah.
In Europe, it makes up, not that it's a huge number, but 5.8%. So we're still lagging behind what it is over there.
By a lot.
Which to me means it's just going to keep growing. Does it hit that same level as it is in Europe? I don't know. But it's definitely going to keep growing. It's not slowing down anytime soon. What do you think the top seller is here as far as non-alcoholic beers?
I don't even honestly know the names of any of them. I know that there are new ones that are supposed to be relatively good, but I haven't had any of them. There's some that have been around for a long time, like God, isn't the Anheuser O'Doul's? O'Doul's is the big Anheuser-Busch one. It's terrible. Yeah. I've drank that a long time ago, and there was one, a Miller one they called Sharps or something. Mm-hmm. Those are the only two that I actually vaguely remember the names of.
I think you know of more of them than you realize, because Guinness came out with Guinness 0.0 recently.
I didn't even know.
Years. Budweiser has Bud 0.0. And
I thought they just called it Bud Light.
It's different, and we don't drink that anymore. So haven't you been paying attention? And then
I didn't drink that
the big one, which has 20% of the United States non-alcoholic beer market, is Heineken 0.0. Which was fascinating to watch when they released it, because they tried to do this thing where they make it cool. They showed people at work drinking their Heineken 0.0.
Yeah.
I can drink this because it's 0.0. And they showed people driving their car. Oh, hey, officer, it's 0.0. The whole thing is strange. And it's all marketing towards younger people.
And douchebags. Well, I mean, like, I have yes. I could absolutely picture the guy who thinks he's so cool because he's drinking this non-alcoholic beer at work. Look, I'm in my cubicle and I'm drinking a Heineken. Oh, but it's 0.0. You can't fire me. Oh, yeah, you're funny, you fucking dick. I don't even know who that is, but I want to punch that guy in the face right now.
I can't for the life of me think it's an actual real thing that is happening. I think it's just some big corporate beer entity saying, what would be cool, Johnson? We should make a commercial that has, someone drinking at work. Wouldn't that be funny? It's strange.
Yeah. I can see doing it with cops. I mean, it's for the fun of it, But, I mean, you're then going to get pulled over and they're going to arrest me for the drugs in the car or whatever, but... open warrants and shit like that. So it's probably not a good idea, but
it's funny for some kind of, I don't know, TikTok video maybe, but it's not real practical life. This idea that younger people need to find things like this because they're not drinking as much is this thing we just keep seeing over and over and over again.
And they're not drinking as much. And I mean, for Brett, whose livelihood depends on selling people alcohol, it's not good, nor for the industry. And it's such a large amount of the economy now. It's problematic from a health standpoint. I guess it's good, but I don't know, what else are they doing? Because statistics also show that they're having less sex. They're not drinking. They're not boning. I mean, it just seems like the most boring fucking generation ever. Like, their rebellion is, I'm not going to do anything fun. Great.
They don't even want to.
Wow.
They're not even going to work anymore. They're just sitting on TikTok.
Their music is boring. They're not drinking and they're not boning. I mean, what are they doing? They're just definitely, they're not the greatest generation. They're not the worst generation. They're just the most fucking boring generation ever since like the history of humans. Good God. Get a vice, you fucking nimrods. I had this friend, this is a complete aside, but it reminded me of this story because, I'm Gen X, and so here's a Gen X story. Like, this friend of mine, he's with like another friend, and they're driving around, getting stoned, as we did in the 80s. And he's got these really dark tinted windows. So they're next to this cop at a stoplight, like 4-lane road. And the passenger is the one next to the cop. So, just to be funny, because he got these really dark tinted windows, he like takes the bag of weed, holds it up. Oh, we're smoking weed. Then he realizes the fucking window's down.
Describe something that I can picture several of my friends doing.
Yeah, don't do that at home.
Here's the thing. Here's the next thing that gets me confused. So if these Gen whatever they are, what were the millennials? Is it still millennials?
No, it's now Gen Z.
Whatever they are, if they're not drinking as much, explain to me why California has this whole string of restaurants now that have started imposing vomit fees. So you know how when you get an Uber, if you vomit in the Uber,
oh yeah, they charge you a lot.
Charge you $150.
It's legit.
The average, it seems to be, is about $50 is what they're charging if you vomit at a restaurant.
When did that become a problem?
That's what they say in this article. They interviewed a bunch of people from restaurants that are doing this, and they said it is the strange uptick in people in their 20s that are overindulging
why?
At bottomless brunches.
Oh my God. So they're not even hammered. I mean, my theory was going to be that they're not learning. I mean, they're not learning to drink. They can't hold their liquor.
They're trying to get their money's worth, is what's happening. Because so one of these places, a place called Home Plate in San Francisco, was interviewed in this, and there's this $22 bottomless brunch, which is a great bargain, by the way, especially in San Francisco.
Sure, I guess
bottomless brunch, that's a good deal. He said that it's working out nice because, and this is a quote, the monetary obligation has reduced the costs of cleanup because people now go outside to vomit instead of doing it at their table.
Well,
why is this a thing? Why is this? What is happening?
I can tell you that I have led an astoundingly irresponsible life of excess. And I have not once in all of my years yacked in a bar or restaurant. Not once.
You've never puked on a table while you're downing bottomless mimosas and Geta. I guess they don't do Geta in San Francisco, but
there have been, and it's less than probably 3 times in my entire life that I have walked outside of a bar and found my way to the shrubbery. But like inside, no, it's never happened once.
You didn't need a vomit fee to encourage you to do that?
I did not. I just considered it part of being a ordinary human being.
So many aspects of this that I just can't understand. It's like, oh, I was going to go outside, but if you're not going to charge me, I'm just going to stay right here in my seat. But like, it doesn't, we just go outside, right? Like if you're going to, there's
a lot of things that Gen Z don't seem to understand. Don't puke at your table.
Is this a problem with what is happening to drinking culture, or is this just a problem with these kids that just don't know what they're doing? Is it because they didn't go out of the house for a couple of years and now they don't know how to live in society? Like, what is happening?
It is a serious thing, and I don't know. But they're a foreign species to me for sure. We should get a consultant, somebody should translate, like a Gen
child.
Z. No, fuck that.
Call a child every time you have a question about what the hell's happening.
Get it? I should appoint like one of my students. It should probably better be an ex-student, but I should get like one of my students to translate. That we can get on. Well, I got ready to say get on the phone, but I don't know that they know how to use the phone for like talking.
They do this thing. They do this thing where they text, but they use their voice. They just hold the button and send. It's like a voicemail through text. Right. It's very strange.
Like sitting next to each other too. Right now, I would instead of talking to you, I would talk into my phone, and it would give you a text, and you could talk back into it.
Yeah, you know how there's like some like concerts and comedians and stuff that when you walk in, they take your phone and put it in one of those little bags. I wish they would do that at bars.
Yeah.
Just give me your phone. We're gonna lock it up. When you leave, you can have it back.
Yes.
And just actually talk to each other. At the same time, maybe I don't want to talk to these people that are throwing up their bottomless brunches. There was a list that was put out that talks about the top 10 alcohols by global market share. Just money.
Yeah.
How close do you think you can get to nailing these?
Top 10.
Top 10. So
these are companies?
No, these are actual
individual brands.
Beer. I'll give you beer is number one. I'll give you the top one.
Okay. biggest selling beer in the world?
This is just so
Oh,
beer.
what?
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as specific spirits, different alcohols.
Okay, so beer.
Yes.
We don't drink that much gin in the U.S., but parts of the world drink a shitload of it.
Gin is number 9.
Wow, I would think it was higher. Vodka, I would put in the top
$14.7 billion market share globally.
of gin.
Gin.
They're drinking like half of that in the Philippines, as it turns out. But vodka is going to be in the top 5.
Vodka is number 6.
Holy shit.
It is $25.98 billion market share.
So whiskey, do we have to subdivide it, or is whiskey...
Whiskey is in the same category.
Okay.
Which is another one of these gets this whole thing thrown off, and that's liqueurs. So any kind of sweetened booze is in here, which I think is a terrible category because it's so broad, but it's in there.
Where does whiskey land?
Whiskey's number 5.
Is it differentiated from scotch?
No.
So, God, that's a lot. What the hell else is in the top 3? I mean, it's, wine.
Wine. There you go. Wine number 2.
And that's all wine. That's
Gave
all...
one of them away too.
Okay.
The sweetened stuff, the liqueurs. That's number 3.
Okay, and that counts like every that's Jägermeister to schnapps
all that stuff. $128.9 billion market share.
Okay, so what are the top 5?
Number 4, you got most of it. You got beer, wine, liqueurs, and then number 5 was whiskey. But number 4 is one that I think most people still just don't know even exists. Baijiu.
I've never even heard of it.
It's a Chinese liquor. We have one place in town that makes their own version of it, and that's Karakin. They make Shifu, which is their own American-made baijiu. It's kind of like vodka, sort of.
Sure.
It's made usually.
Shifu sounds delicious.
It's usually made with sorghum, but can be made with really anything. Just kind of like vodka. Number 6, we said vodka. 7, cider. It surprised me how high up on the list cider was.
I would definitely not have thought of that high on the list.
Number 8 is...
That's above vodka?
Yeah. No.
Vodka's 6.
No, vodka was 6, cider was 7. It is above rum, which is number 8, which I think is a tragedy because rum is delicious.
Although the way this list is compiled, rum is just rum. It's not being combined with like 4 or 5 other things that I would call different. I mean, bourbon, American whiskey, Irish whiskey, Scotch. To me, those are all distinct categories. But if you call them all whiskey, rum is just rum.
Yeah, but you got
there's like light rum and dark
rum.
rum and spiced rum, and but
still should be like the amount of.
We should have done that like Forrest Gump. White rum and spiced rum. And
that would be very short list.
Gump's friend.
That was it.
Yeah, whatever that goes.
Number 9 was gin. Number 10 is tequila. Which is, to me, surprising because it's gotten so big
growing
in the United States. But when you think, like, that's why Baijiu is number 4. We're not drinking it here.
Right.
But if you go to China, they're drinking a ton of it.
I've heard they got a couple people in China.
Yeah, we've got a couple. So it's hard to kind of get this vision of what's happening.
Big fucking wall, too.
Yeah, we got one of those, or part of one.
Yeah. I don't think ours is as aesthetically pleasing, but
it's
sure
more efficient.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, it's certainly keeping drywallers out.
That's all I got for you. I didn't do a non-alcoholic story. Did you get one?
Yeah. We also didn't do a question. We'll do a question. Oh. But here's my non-alc story because this week it's been a dark week, and I'm not going to tell you this story isn't a little bit dark, but it just shows how twisted the world is in a way where we can laugh at others as opposed to looking inward, which is just frightening. Argentine. Argentina. That's the country.
The land of Argentina.
Land of Argentina. I got ready to say this Argentinian presidential candidate. So this Argentinian presidential candidate that is the front runner. He is a far right libertarian. He's a climate science denier. He uses a chainsaw in his campaign appearances.
Guy sounds like fun.
He sounds like a blast. He wants to make the US dollar their national currency, but he attributes his success in politics to his 4 cloned dogs. These mastiffs that he has that are all cloned from a dog that he had before. And part of his platform is putting a scientist that is in kind of the forefront of cloning in charge of the Argentinian National Science Program. So we might see that guy be the first cloned human.
Great.
Yeah. And also in charge of a significant country called Argentina.
The terrifying thing is it sounds like these clones will probably be running a lot of countries by the way things have gone in the last few years. People love somebody that can juggle chainsaws or whatever the hell he does.
All
fun to hang out with.
Yes.
Like, clone dogs running around. It's all these big, giant slobbery clones.
Trump just eats cheeseburgers and does YMCA, and Boebert just grabs cocks. Chainsaw.
That guy does not grab cocks. I can guarantee that.
No, and I don't, with the chainsaw, I'm not. Yeah, so that's.
Do you
have a question?
I don't remember what our question was. So Halloween is fast approaching, very fast approaching, judging by how cold it's getting outside and all of the leaves and all of these things that let me know it's fast approaching. When you are trick-or-treating, and we're going to make an assumption here that you're drinking while you're trick-or-treating with your kids.
Why? What else would you be doing?
I guess if you're at home passing out candy, we'll take that too. What are you drinking? What is your Halloween beer, and why? Tell us.
Yeah. So let us know below. Personally, I, as has been established, don't have children. Like to get near them, but. Our neighborhood is really big with trick-or-treaters. And so the neighbors come together, and one of the neighbors always makes mulled wine every year. It's the only time that I drink mulled wine. So we'll drink mulled wine and pass out candy to the kids. But what I have done in the past is, like, in the course of the year, through a few beers left over from beer class here or there, speaking engagements I do, whatever, I wind up accumulating like a large mixed bag
the cooler of rejects
that I don't really like that much. They're always good beers. It's just like their styles or whatever that I don't particularly like. So I started putting those out so the parents, can grab a beer.
Yeah,
or the kids.
There's a whole fridge in my garage that's dedicated to nothing but the rejects that just kind of got bumped out of the main fridges and had to go somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
So it's an important
you should give them. You should give them away at trick or treat.
So since Brett isn't here, I can go ahead and shout out Urban Artifact. In previous years, every time they come out with one of those stupid Halloween packs, they did that seltzer one where you didn't know what anything was.
Yeah.
Love that shit. I love it so much. I sit around with everybody and we all try to guess things. I like stuff like that. I like gimmicky, horrible things. I like pumpkin beer on Halloween. I like anything that's candy bar themed. I like the most obnoxious pastry stouts you can come up with. That's what I want on Halloween.
Yeah, Brett took that to, I think it was last year, year before, whatever, where, and I don't know if they've done it more than multiple years, but their concept was
3 times.
Was trick or treat. And so they intentionally brewed like shit.
Yeah,
there was a trick. There was a trick. And people didn't get the concept. They got like flooded with complaints like this one was terrible. That's the point, idiot.
Sometimes I like the tricks. That's how warped my Halloween mind is. But
you can never overestimate the stupidity of the public. So, Bruce, guys, we also do a podcast. We meaning me and Brett.
I listen to the podcast. That should count.
That does count. And so, BrewSkies.beer. checks out with podcasts where we do a history of American craft beer. And Gnome, people around here,
I did the
where
podcast.
they find you?
I was on the podcast.
Yes, you have done the podcast.
I do the podcast.
Yeah, you do the podcast.
It's a great podcast.
Yeah, you've been a fantastic guest on the podcast.
Thank you.
So, bitches, we love you.